The recent attacks in Palma have impacted some 50,000 people and left thousands of people displaced in need of urgent humanitarian assistance in northern Mozambique. Displaced people in Palma had already been fleeing violence before this. The United Nations World Food Programme, the WFP team and humanitarian partners have been working to ensure that assistance reaches those who need it the most. Earlier on, we spoke to Shelley Thakra, who is WFP's regional spokesperson in Mozambique.
What you've touched upon is the fact that this crisis, this conflict, since 2017 has displaced something like nearly 700,000 people. And that, in addition to COVID-19, the lockdown, also climate change, very poor harvest, loss of income, people moving into areas where food prices have increased and have put a real strain as well on the economy. So what we're seeing is that in the last 10 days, since people have fled, people are still arriving into areas, and they've been on foot for many days. I was in a displacement camp in Montepuez, which is about a 3-hour drive from Pemba, and we met families who'd arrived just a day before. One lady I met one very young woman I'd met had been there for a week, and she actually gave birth in Montepuez. She was pregnant when she was left. She left under attack, under siege. She had a 1-week-old baby. We were giving distributing rice and oil and beans and emergency rations for these families. And some of the stories are horrific in terms of what they've witnessed and what they're still haunted by.
Yeah, and talk to us about the sort of humanitarian assistance that WFP will then be giving to those people who are displaced. But on the back of that question, there are concerns, Shelley, that follow-up attacks in northern Mozambique could happen. So apart from the fact that these people will still be in danger or more danger than before, I also then want to talk about you as the WFP agents that are there, that are stationed in northern Mozambique. What about your safety? And especially given the fact that there's been a lot of talk about communication lines being an issue. I mean, I wonder if you're prepared for that.
So, of course, the safety of the people that we serve and those are the people that need food most urgently, women and children especially, women with young infants, children. There's already chronic malnutrition in Cabo Delgado. Half of those who are severely malnourished are children. The safety of our staff is critical. So wherever we go in terms of our operational work, we make very thorough security assessments at all times. We also operate the United Nations Humanitarian Services, which are the flights. We evacuated something like 380 people, 76% of them were women and children from a Fungi, right up until April the 2nd. And we continue to make assessments. We are flying to other parts of northern Mozambique. We're taking doctors who need to be on the ground. We're taking critical humanitarian workers who need to do their work. Some of them are doctors from MSF. So we work very closely with our different partners. We work very closely with our humanitarian community. The World Food Programme is a mission about saving lives. We operate in extraordinary circumstances. We have also extraordinary communications to be able to do that, whether it's specially operated radio systems or systems of communication, so that we can actually track and help get to the people who most need it. So using very sophisticated, very innovative technology as well, to be able to really think through where we need to be and how we need to get there and how we need to be as safe as we can to be able to get the job done.
Yeah. Generally, when you're dealing with displaced people and large numbers of displaced people in efforts to provide humanitarian assistance, a secondary humanitarian crisis, looms its ugly head, where we find, people being placed, let's say, in camps and so forth. So two questions here. Where ultimately are we planning to place these people that are displaced, and how do we then what plans are in place to make sure that there are no secondary humanitarian crises in the fact that we've seen some of these humanitarian crises inside, let's say, temporary shelters or camps that are then set up. What are the plans, if you can take us through that?
So there's a couple of factors here. For the 50,000 people that we estimate to have been affected, they're moving. They move from district to district, and often they are moving into their own home, their homes of families and relatives, and what we would call host communities. So they perhaps will not. They will come to the distribution camps for their food. We will know who they are because of how the registration has been done. But they seek safety with their own family members. There are very thorough networks set up within the entire UN system, and also other NGOs, INGOs, international non-governmental organisations who work with social protection, who work, whether that's our colleagues who are working at UNHCR or IOM, and also other organisations. So absolutely, safety is apparent, is absolutely essential in terms of where people are living, and making sure that especially young women, young families, are not put at risk.